Let's learn everything about Java for loops and for each loops. In this video, we will cover everything. Hello everyone, this is Ali Reza. Welcome to the Mentor Code Lab. Up until now, we learned what is a looping condition inside Java. However, we were using while loops. When you use while loops, you don't know when the loop will be finished. Basically, you are checking for a condition that you don't know how many times will repeat the loop before the condition is met. If you know the number of times that the loop needs to be run, then there is an easier way of running a loop, and that is for loop. The syntax for loop is just like this. For inside the parentheses, we have statement 1, semicolon, statement 2, semicolon, statement 3. And then everything happens between curly braces. So what are these three statements? The statement 1 executes only once before the execution of the code inside the curly braces. The statement 2 runs every time when a loop is going back to the open curly brace. And always the statement 2 is a conditional statement. Basically, we run the statement 1, run the code, then check a condition. If the condition is true, then we will go back and run the code. Statement 3 is executed after each time the for loop is working. So statement 1 is only once before the loop starts. Statement 3 happens after the iteration of the loop on every looping sequence. Most of the time, statement 1 starts with integer and some variable name with a starting number. There may be very crazy math conditions that you would want to go with floats or, I don't know, doubles. But most of the time, almost always, you will use integers as the counter here. The statement 2 is most of the time the condition that we want to run. So if I is less than 5. And the statement 3 is just incrementing or decrementing the I. So I plus plus or I minus minus. So this is a for loop. Now here we say system.out.println, and all we are printing is I. If we execute the code, well, we have this 70 being printed somewhere here. Let's comment that one. But when we go into the loop, you see that we execute this statement 1, so I equals 0. Then check the condition. Is I smaller than 5? Yes, 0 is smaller than 5. So we execute this code, we print 0. Then we add 1, actually statement 3 is adding 1 to the I. I now is 1, then we check the condition, 1 is smaller than 5, execute, 2 is smaller than 5, up to 4. When 4 is being printed on next iteration, actually at the end of this line, I will become 5. Now we go back to the condition. Now 5 is not smaller than 5. It returns false. So we get out of the loop and the program is finished. This is the very simple way of looping through some code when you know exactly the number of times you want to execute it. However, when it comes to arrays and lists and, I don't know, collections, you don't know that the number here, but you know the number of children inside that collection. So, for example, if we want to print the cars, here we can say cars.length. Remember, it starts with 0. So if we look at the indexes, this will be 0, 1, 2, 3. Now length returns 4 here because we have 4 elements. So as long as I is smaller than 4, means the last one index is 3, we should print cars of I. And if we execute the code, this is exactly what we get. Volvo, BMW, Ford, and Mazda. So we see that we get to the end of the array. And this is one way of looping through arrays. We will take a look at another example later. However, if we take a look at this array that we had before, how can we loop through this one, scores? This is multi-dimensional array. Here we say scores, but we say scores.length. Let's take a look at the printings first. So I will copy this and we say scores.length. And then I will comment this line and execute the code. No, okay, not cars, scores.length. Okay, we get two. So remember, scores is student 0, student 1, and that's it. Basically, we are getting to the first part of this multi-dimension. However, if I say the scores 0.length, then we are diving 1 inside, so we will get 4 now, I think. And that's it. And if we go with 0.length, we are getting here. So we are getting 2 elements. And then another 0 here means this part. So we should get 3. And that's the number we get. This is how you can get the length of different sections of this multi-dimensional array. Now we can use a nested for loops. So here we say I, j, and here we say scores of I dot length. We want to do something else. And then paste k, and here we say scores of I, but we go one dimension inside and we say j. And here we went to, this is the I, this is the j, and this will be a new one, k. So finally we say for another for loop and we call it L. And here we say scores of I, j, and k length. Now remember, when you are changing the param name here, you have to change everything inside these two conditions. So this should become k, this should become k, L, and L. If you look, we have four for loops and our array is 4-dimensional. So they correspond to each other. Now we want to print three different things. First, we want to say, hey, this is student number and then plus, and then we get score I, scores I, or actually here we say I, because you know that student 0, student 1, plus year is the next one, I assume. Yes, and that is why you comment these multidimensionals. So we get 0, and then year is 1, 2, 3, 4. So year plus, here is add j plus, and then semester plus, this is k plus score plus. Now here we say scores of I, j, k, l, and that's it. So let's run this once and let's take a look at the result and see what we get. So we get student number 0, first year, semester 0, 75. Let's check it, 75. Then we get 98 and 84. Then we go to semester 1 and get 77, 96, and 87. So this is semester 1. Then we increment year by 1, and we should get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers here, 82, 90, 88, 80, 92, 85, and that's correct. Then we go to year 2, semester 0, semester 1, and then year 3, and that's it. Then we go to the student number 1, and we get the data for student number 1. Now remember, these are starting with 0. However, I can change it a little bit and add 1 to this. So I will put a parenthesis here, so the execution code will be correct. J plus 1, J plus 1, and that's it. Now, if I execute, we shouldn't start with zeros, but ones. So student number 1, year 1, semester 1, and semester 2. Then year 2, year 3, year 4, and then we go for student number 2 here. So that's a nested for loops for you. Now remember, if your loop is just one single line of code of execution, you can get rid of these curly braces. And actually, if you hit Alt-Enter, it says remove braces for a statement. So you can just do it manually. And then this is a single line of execution for this for, because each time this for is looping, all of this code is actually one execution operation. So I can remove this curly braces, and same things goes for these. So I can go with these curly braces and these curly braces, and again, the code will execute without any issue or problem, as you see. And this is another way of doing for loops. However, I highly recommend that you keep curly braces for two different reasons. First, maybe in future you decide that when you are finishing the year, you want to do something. For example, you want to print something out to separate the students, like so. And without having these curly braces, it will become confusing when later down the road you decide to add this. And now if I execute, of course, when the first student is done, you see that I have this line, the second student, and again, another line, and then the program is finished. And that is one reason. The second reason is that even if you don't do these, and all you have to do is just this code, keeping these curly braces with these line guides make the code much more readable, especially when you want to put comments on top of these loops or your code. Of course, if you remove the curly braces, comments are being ignored, so everything will work, but your code will become a little bit confusing. You can try it yourself and you will see what I mean by that. This is for loop. However, sometimes you don't care about the indexes. All you care is the elements inside an array, and you can use something else called for each loop. For each loop, we'll start with for again. But here, you have to identify the variable type and then give it a name instead of using conditions. Here we put a colon and we give the array names. So here is cars. This means that, hey, look into this array, get one element of the array, put it as I. So here I can say car, and that will work. And how do we read it? We say for each car inside cars, do something. And all I want to do is just print ln the car, and that's it. Remember here, car is this element inside the array, not the index. So we are fetching the elements directly and putting them inside a variable type and then use them in code. So let's comment this system out and run the code. You see that, of course, we get this system out print here. So you see that we get Volvo, BMW, Ford, Mazda. Again, we are fetching the strings themselves inside the array once at a time, loop through all the elements, and then do whatever we want. This is a very, very powerful syntax. The for each loop is a very, very powerful syntax in coding loops, especially when all you want to do is handle the elements themselves and you don't care about the indexes. All you want to do is to fetch the element and do whatever you want on the element. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on that bell so that when I publish a new video, you will get informed. Have fun, everyone. Bye.